Only time y'all see me in Rays is when I turn into the Bronze Bomber.
What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Deontay, the Bronze Bomber Wilder, and Tyson, the Gypsy King Fury. Now, you know the conspiracies are started, the speculations, the accusations, the excuses. You know they're coming. They've came, and they're here. And of course, it went from Glovegate, now it's the Count Gate, the long count, yada, yada, yada. Andre Ward said this, and Joe Rogan said that, and Daniel Cormier did this and said that also. Okay, get this. Fine. And I've counterpunched it as much as possible. Now, we have on the other end of the spectrum, for every action, there's an equal reaction. We have where Deontay Wilder was coming out of his corner, and the doctors came in after the bell rang to stop the fight to check on Deontay Wilder. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to check the amount of time that it took for the doctor to check him out after the bell rings, because if that's the case, the bell means that the 60 seconds is over. So this is after the 60-second break, mind you. So let's take a look at it and let's see what we see and how many seconds so we can count. Okay. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. So that's 12 seconds that he was given extra, and a lot of people ask me, well, what do you think about that? He got extra time. I mean, it's extra time. I mean, every second should count, but then how much are we going to feed into that? You know what I mean? That's like to make excuses for Wilder and then turn around and try to make excuses or a case for this. 12 seconds is not a long time. Okay. The first thing I thought of that comes to mind for me is not the 12 seconds that it took them to check him out. Okay. Even though that's bullshit, because that doctor could have came to him in his corner. Let's just be real. They could have checked. That doctor should have came while he was in that corner, because when you have a certain amount of time in between rounds, that's when the doctors are allowed in the ring. That's when the doctors should, check out the fighter, check his eyes out, ask him a few questions, that type of protocol when it comes to checking on the safety of the fighters. Okay. That's when that should happen, not when the bell rings. Now, when the bell rings, not saying they can't stop the fight to see that like they did, but there was no reason to do that. So I get the argument with that, but it was only 12 seconds. You know what I'm saying? It's sure a lot. It is definitely a lot better than 28 seconds. 28 seconds that's what they gave Wilder when Luis Ortiz beat the dog shit out of him in round 7. You know what I mean? So what's the odds of that happening when Ortiz was getting the better of Wilder? See, you can argue that too, and that's a better and bigger argument because it's a longer time span. It was twice as long, and then some. So you had 24 seconds. That's twice as long on top of 4 more seconds. So if you round it up, that's 30 seconds. That's a half a minute. You know what I mean? So whatever was going on in that corner, that could have been done in that corner. So when people look at this, I get the argument. Yeah, it's 12 seconds, but this shit ain't new to Wilder. Okay, so people are like, well, you hate Wilder. I don't hate Wilder. I'm just saying certain things are set aside to help certain fighters. Now, was this specifically, an intentional thing? I don't know. I don't know if it was intentional or not. But who did it benefit? It benefited Wilder. It kept him in there. But guess what? What happened eventually? He still got knocked the fuck out. Just like Luis Ortiz lost. But it's different for him because he was getting the better of Wilder. He could have still came in there on Queer Street and Ortiz could have, did his thing with him a lot earlier. But remember this. The same seconds it took Wilder to recover, it took that for Luis Ortiz, but Luis Ortiz wasn't hurt. Wilder was. So that supersedes any of the argument that you're saying, well, he took time for both fighters. No, because Wilder just needed that time to recoup. Because Wilder is a guy, or he was a guy, that was very quick to recover from punches. He would get on Queer Street at times, like he did in the Molina fight, but he did bounce back. So but he couldn't bounce back in this fight, and he still got knocked out. So that's the important factor. So, I mean, it's something, to shoot back at the Wilder fans, but at the end of the day, it was 12 seconds. I don't think it was really intentional, and if it was, it didn't help him anyway, because he still got knocked out. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of the extended time Wilder was given after the bell rang. Of course, please subscribe, and you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.